good evening, some people, maybe good morning. So exciting to have a new episode of the OMGD webinars in series. Actually, today is the first time that we're not doing a webinar, we're doing it as a Zoom. So everybody can join us and everybody can see and we can see each other. So what I would ask from everybody to mute yourself so there will not be kind of distracting noises, but stay with us. And I just want to thank, of course, our two main speakers today. We have Dominique Crombé and Janet Venderstein from Belgium. Yes, from Belgium, when we're talking about Belgian wine. I know usually Belgium, we talk about beers, but today we're talking about wines, which is quite amazing because, as we say, small country, big wines, due to the, I think, global warming, new places in the world are starting to make good wine. I want to thank our chairman, Mohamed Hamam, and the committee of the OMGD, and all of you that join us. I would like to introduce, first of all, Dominique. I hope, yes, I can make Dominique, I hope I can make her a host. Dominique is a Chargé de mission Bailliage Belgium of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs. She's actually will be intronised as a chanson next month on the 13th of June 2021. She's a member of the Technical Committee International Jeunes Sommelier competition, and she's managed her own concept of D-Winecoach online wine lesson. And she will speak about Belgian wines and vineyard, small places and some big places. And also we're gonna see some movies. And then Janet Venderstein, the owner and winemaker of Chateau Bombaron. She will speak after that, and we'll talk about not only about what she's doing, she'll tell her story, but also we talk about sustainability in the vineyards, which is a growing thing happening more and more these days. So let's see if I can make Dominique a host. No, I cannot make Dominique a host. But what I can do, I can try and put Dominique presentation. So just a second, because
for the moment.
Tal, there is an option where you can share screen. If you have the bottom share screen and then you allow everybody to share the screen, no one will do that, but of course the person that needs to do that. So that is the best way, I think.
I understand, yes. But unfortunately, let's see, because no, I try to share a screen and I can't because Mohammed is still the host, the main host. So actually, I cannot make. Oh, now I can.
You're the host now. Yes,
yeah,
you're the host now.
Okay,
so you
perfect.
Can do it. Yes.
So what I'll do, I'll go here. Sorry, I need to look for it. I'll do it quickly. And I hope everybody will see it quickly. Can you see the presentation now?
We can. We can, but with the right side, let's say, what is not necessary, in fact, not only the pictures.
Put it on presentation.
Well, I don't have the PowerPoint. I only have the PDF version. So I can show you the PDF and we'll manage with that, I hope.
And I changed it a bit today. So it's a pity, but it's not so bad. It's okay.
Okay.
I'm used to talking a lot, so it's not a big problem.
We're agile, Dominique. Corona times means to be agile. We're very flexible.
Okay. So, and you can move the PowerPoint, Tal.
Yes. I can move, and I'm in control. So, Dominique, the floor is yours. Please tell us the wonders of
Okay, thank you very
Belgium wines.
So, first of all, thanks to Tal and Mohammed for the opportunity. It's nice to be able to put Belgian wines in the picture, to mention like that. And I hope that at the end of the Zoom of the webinar, I was able to give you all a little place in your heart for our wines because of different matters you will see. So yes, indeed, Belgium is a little country, it's a small country. And why do I say we make big wines? Because the most wines that we make have a nice international review, are not the cheapest ones, but could be placed immediately on a good level what concerns quality. So for the wine trip in Belgium, it's very funny that being a sommelier for the whole of your life, you look in every country for a vineyard, for viticulture. You look for visits everywhere, from the smallest thing you hear to the largest, let's say, possible vineyard existing. You will try to be able to go there to learn about it. And goddamn, I forgot my own country. So we do know, of course, being a sommelier, that in Belgium we make wines. I do know that we make nice wines, but I never could imagine that we got to a point now that is increasing year after year and that people want the wines. So that's enormously in our favor, of course. And is it due to climate changing? Of course, it's an advantage. Of course, it's a better thing that we can search for more soils. We have more possibilities. The fruit is more juicy. We have longer springs. We have more sun. But we may not forget that we remain a young wine country, and that every year also the age of the vineyards are higher, are better. So we can obtain more and more complex wine every year, the one after the after. And the funny thing is that when I heard that Belgian wines became so important, I planned some trips. I have been there 5-6 years ago to the 2 different places for about 3 years. And I could never imagine that I felt abroad. When you see the vineyards, you see the soil, when you look, when you hear to the explanation, when you taste the wines, it's still not my thing to be so chauvinistic, but it felt so different. It was like I was abroad and still I was almost in my own backyard. So it gives us a lot of possibilities to be proud of. And I don't know, Tal, is it possible to give another slide? Yes, if you want to. So Brussels, our capital, is the center of Belgium, but we are a bit important also in Europe because we also are the center of the European Union. We are the center of the NAVO. But let's see, when you give me another slide, where Belgium stands for. So the wine trip in Belgium starts with 2 pictures of our wine areas. We have wine areas in the Flanders and in Wallonia. And that's why I titled it, Are You Surprised Too? Because that is what I was a few years ago when I went to visit different winemakers and different wine domains. Very surprised because of everything. Because of the soil, the temperature, the climate, the passion of the winemaker, the explanation, and which made it, let's say, a bit more authentic, is that the most of the vineyards are very small. And the winemaker does everything. So he has to receive you. He has to serve you the wine. He has to be there when you taste the wine. He has to make you the visit into the vineyards himself. And it gives immediately a very warm and very professional contact. So was I surprised? Very much. When I came back, I work in a shop that owns my two brothers. I came back 5, 6 years ago and I said, my God, are we stupid or what is our problem? Why don't we sell Belgian wines? We've got more than 3,000 items of wine and we don't have our proper wine. So, they laughed at me. Until a few years ago, they laughed. They said, Belgian wines. What do we do with Belgian wines? Who wants to buy that? Who wants to taste that? And now we are at that point that we are beginning to introduce ourselves on international level, that we are, I won't say the word, we are getting famous, but that we can be very proud and that people begin to speak about it. So on the next slide, you will see how, yes, that's a bit what I was talking about. Why choose for Belgian wines? Of course, there are wines all over the world, and I can assure you I like very much wines. And what the Belgian part is, of course, it's a cool climate zone. So more and more we get all the attitude of drinking wines with a certain finesse, with a good acidity, with a refreshing wine style in the aftertaste. And that's what Belgium can supply. That's what we can give you. So we make good wines and we keep on progressing in quality. That's a bit evident because we are a young wine country. The experience year after year gives us more possibilities. And of course, climate change gives us extra possibilities. Due to our cool climate zone, which is a bit the identity of Belgium, we make mainly sparkling wines followed by white wines. Not so much red. And that's why Jeanette later on in the webinar will tell you a lot more about winemaking and important things. Recent and young wine culture with, let's say, a hard professional restart from 1990 on. We started 1960, progressing in hectares, but from 1990 on, we became famous and we could stand for price quality wines. Passion to make a fair local product, and that's a bit due to COVID, which can be seen now as a positive thing, that people look more and more for local products. We got the attitude, why do we have to import everything? Why do we have to look for some foods or whatever from a long term, from another country, when we do have it ourselves? So looking for a fair local product is really the expression of a Belgian winemaker. Of course, everyone has its passion in your job, but let's say that half of the people start here without knowing that they will become a professional winemaker. They start as a hobby. They start out of passion. They pay everything themselves. They start with some vineyards in their garden. They are happy to create something. And then from the one thing comes the other. The wines are good due to terroir, soil, and whatever. And that's how little by little we started to make more on a professional basis wines, which become more and more important. So identity remains small vineyards, small scale production gives a bit of extra identity. Do we belong to a niche market? I would believe it. I would believe it because you won't say that you have a little vin de pays from €3 out of a supermarket. That's impossible. So let's say that we do gain a bit of quality in that part of niche markets. We won several awards already, which is not so very known on international facts, but it is like that. Since 1996 on, so we already speak for a young country from 25 years ago, we won gold, silver and bronze medals, which started with Rufus, sparkling winemaker, and Genoes Elderen, or our wine castle in Belgium, that you will see later on in some pictures to tell the identity of these people. And yes, which was international news and very, very often, almost a year and a half past, Domaine Chandéol, placed in the Wallonie part of Belgium, made the best sparkling wine of the world. So we can be proud, no? It's a sparkling wine which is made like champagne, with the dominancy of the Chardonnay, with an obligation of the méthode traditionnelle. So to make a wine in a little country which has been bombarded as being the best sparkling wine of the world, we can say we are proud, and that's why I made the title Small Country but Big Wines. I changed all that a bit this afternoon. So history of viticulture, I won't be very annoying on that, but I took the title again from the beginning of the announcement of the webinar. Is Belgium a country grown from the climate change? No, we did not. We had some winemaking periods in earlier times, from the 1st century, in fact, but mostly due to monks, the churches, we needed wines for Eucharist celebrations and other facts. We even had a bit of a, let's say, a peak between the 13th and the 15th century. And when you go on, Tal, you will see that we will have some problems also afterwards. Do you have the next slide? Yes. So as we see, well, it's not that facts and figures are so important, but the most important thing to know is that we lost our vineyards due to long winters, little ice age. That's a bit the problem of northern climate, of course, the loss of practically all fruit production, and little by little, because of that, we planted different cereals. And you can say that in the 16th century, we had the start of our production of famous beers who remained for the rest of our lives, and on which we are still very famous. Due to other things, diseases, wars, of course, also the phylloxera, we lost practically everything in the 19th century, and we needed all land available for famine, for hungry people, for food, for everything which was necessary to keep people going on. And then when we look now to more recent medals, etc., we had in 1950 the creation of the Belgian Federation for Wines and Spirits. And from 1960 on, we got little by little early start of Belgian viticulture. But 1960, you can say it's a rather very recent wine country. Can I see again the slides? Only in 1972, we got our first school for making wine, school to know what you have to do with the vineyards, who learn everything about wine growing, viticulture, etc. In 1973, the first brotherhoods, commanderies, or however you name it. And in 1997, a first recognition for quality wine, which is the most northerly recognized wine region of the world. Again, something which is something to be proud of, but due to climate change, more and more in our favor, of course. So BOB is a difficult word. We will speak from quality areas, and you will see on the next moment how many we have and how important they are. So look at those numbers. I can't see any country increasing in percentage, when you see it that way, how fast we are moving on how big we are getting for our country in viticulture, and how much, let's say, passion is still around people to do something in agriculture. I must tell the truth in that sense that since 2018, when we start the vineyards, it's really with commercial purpose. And that was not the case 20, 30 years ago. We started for hobby, for ourselves. So it's incredible now that we have about 700 hectares of wine, not of wine, of vineyards, and that we produce about 2 million of liters of wine. Let's move on. So that is an important one. I can't move now with my stick to show you a bit more of our country. But when you see, those are the 5 areas. The 5 areas who started in the middle with Hageland. Yeah, thank you very much. Hageland, close to Brussels, is the one who got his first quality region officially. It's not the big one, but it's a very important one on white wines. It was the example that cool climate wines could make juicy wines with especially, how can I say that, a sort of a strength in it, a complexity and a minerality that went beyond expectations of wine professionals. And when you draw that line in the middle, under Hageland, under Brussels, you can split the country a bit in between. Yes, so you've got 2 sizes. You've got the northern part and you've got the southern part. The northern part has 4 very important quality regions. That is Heuveland, that is the Flemish part, the Netherlands, the Dutch-speaking part, with Heuveland, when we start there, which is the smallest one. Hageland, that I showed you around Brussels, let's say like that. Close to the Netherlands, to the borders of Netherlands, we have Haspengouw, which is very known for sparkling wines and for white wines. And when you look to the green arched place above, that's an exceptional one. That's those are vineyards with the river Maas, the river Meuse, in between. So when they got their quality certification of the Belgian state, it is an appellation. It's in fact an appellation, a quality place which goes over the border to the Netherlands. So your same vineyard goes through another country and belongs to our quality estate, let's say that in that way. So that's a bit a very, let's say, authentic one and a very recent one. When we go under Haspengouw, we get to the part of Wallonia. That is the part of the French-speaking Belgian vineyards, the Côte de Sambre et Meuse. And that quality appellation is very important because of the 2 rivers, because of another sort of minerality in the soil. And it gives you a picture that it is a very large one. For us, for Belgium, it's the biggest one. And it's close to that of Bidden, that area that we will announce you a bit later, Jeannette, of Bonbaron. So do keep in mind that the northern part is the Dutch-speaking part with the 4 qualifications, and that the southern part is the French-speaking part with a lot of sparkling wines. That is what I will tell you on the next slide. You have a bit an idea when you see those pictures from flatter areas. The topography, we go to until about 120 meters of height. So we do also have vineyards exposed southeastern on another type of soils, and that gives us also the different identities. And of course, biodiversity. As we are a small country, as we have little vineyards, as we do everything by hand, biodiversity is very important. A lot of wines are made very purely in the way of sort of natural wines, and that is also something we are rather proud of. What can we see next? Yes, that is what I told you, the 5 regions who has qualification and certification in Belgium. They all, of course, have restrictions as an appellation demands. Some can go to 65 hectoliters an hectare, others can go to 55 or to 68. They all need to follow certain grapes, which the law describes, so we have a bit of identity in the different regions. And it is a fact that the last one that I mentioned, which goes over the border to the Netherlands, only exists for 3 years. It has been created in 2018. The most hillside one, Heuveland, the most little one, the smallest area in Belgium, the smallest area in the northern continent of Europe, only exists since 2005. So we can speak from a very recent, very triggered country in winemaking. Yes. A part of those 5 regions with their own appellation status, we've got 2 different names for those people who make sparkling wines, and that's a lot. The most type of wine we make in Belgium are sparkling wines. Méthode traditionnelle is a must, is obligated, which is very important. You are all professionals, so you know that I mean by that those bubbles has to be remained at the ways as we make champagne, so with a second fermentation on the bottle and with a rest period in the cellars. We call it vin mousseux de qualité Wallonie or Crémant de Wallonie when we get in the southern part of Belgium. And we call it a Flemish sparkling wine, what concerns the other part, the northern part of Belgium. A part of those 2 sparkling wines, very important wines, we also have land wines or regional wines, which have 2 different names, as simple as it is, or it is a vin de pays de Wallonie, or it is a vin de pays out of the Flanders. Of course, the restricted qualifications are different, the one of the other. And can you imagine that we make a lot of bubbles? Do we have more ladies in our population? Yes, maybe that is the reason, or one of the reasons. We have a lot of ladies in the population, more than men. So sparkling wines have what concerns our production. It's also a bit the fact that a cool climate zone needs more white wines, needs more refreshing wines due to the higher acidity we create automatically. That's the point. In the Loire Valley in French, we do have a lot of white wines, but little reds. When people drink red wine and the acidity is a bit high, we will say, I don't like it. I won't buy that anymore. When we drink a white wine, and at that moment, we just like the extra frischer. We like the refreshing part of it. So the sparkling wines are almost half of our production. And more we are getting known on them, and more very proud on them. But you will see on a later moment, you will see when we speak of grapes, that it has a reason that certain grapes are very well planted here on our Belgian soils. White wines, of which I must say that Genoes Elderen, het Wijnkasteel, our castle of Belgium, has been the first one with a lot of medals, with a lot of international knowledge, with a lot of, yes, international appreciation, let's say like that. And it is a woman after the screen, which is the winemaker and which is one of the largest producers of our country. For red wines, we have a more less important, let's say a less important part in volume, but Jeanette will be able to tell you everything about the qualities with very original grapes, grapes that I never heard of before. And that was just the nice connection that I had with Jeanette the first time that I was introduced to her, that it was in the beginning like she spoke Chinese to me. I didn't know of what grapes she was making wine of. I didn't know they existed. So can you imagine being a proud sommelier and having seen half of the vineyards of the world, in the matter of speaking, that I didn't know we had that in our backyard. That makes it such a triggering effect on a lot of people who get in contact now with our products. Rosé wines are not so important for us. We have especially our mark on the white wines. So from all the winemakers, I think that for the moment, since the beginning of 2021 of this year, we have about 420 winemakers. That's not bad when you look to the increasing numbers of the last years. So about 420, which makes a total effect on about 17 hectares. And still, we do have about 15 domains or winemakers or properties which have more than 10 hectares. Maybe you laugh now, maybe it's funny, because when we go to the Languedoc, when we go to Spain, when we go to Italy, they don't speak about 10 hectares. People speak about 36, 60, 80, 120. So it still remains small, but big in our context of a small country. And yes, which grapes do we work with? Most of them are, of course, the classic grapes with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc, and other ones as most planted. And then more and more people chose for hybrids or hybrids. I don't know how you say it in English, the right word, because we look now more and more for grapes which are resistant for some sicknesses and other things. The classic grapes are an important part because we started all with a vision of I do it for a hobby. I do it for myself. It's not important what I make. And what do people know? The Chardonnay. What do people need in a cool climate zone? Grapes who like a bit of coldness on their feet, like a Pinot Noir. So you will see it better on the next slide that we work mainly and still with the classical grapes as Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, Auxerrois, Johanniter, also German and Austrian grapes, because those are also grapes typical on a cool climate zone, and the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. It's evident because we make so much of sparkling wines. We make so much Belgian champagne. So the best of them on a soil with a lot of silex and how do you say the word now? The calc. Can someone help me here? The calker, as we say, that's the soil we need and the correct grape we need to make a marvelous sparkling wine. And as you see that we are getting the best sparkling wines of the world, I don't think that they will change the grape, the plant, the population of that grape, but we do look more and more for authenticity with other grapes. And then sometimes people in my shop, when they come visit the shop, and they want a day they want a wine for current use, for every day, they don't like to pay a lot of money. And when I present the Belgian wines that we sell, I mostly get immediately the answer on, yeah, okay. It will be for another use. I will do come and get some and buy some, but now I need a more current wine. So we do have a bit the name that our wines are rather expensive. But when you look to the curve of this picture, we are not so expensive, but it's true that we don't make easily wines of €5. So we do have a pick from wines between 10 and 15 euros. And be honest, nowadays, when you want a good wine, when you want a wine with a bit of quality, character, complexity, you won't get a very good one below the 10 euros. So let's say that it's rather honest, between 10, 15, growing out to 20, there when you get more, let us say, the complexity of the wine. And do we make wines who are more expensive? Of course, because we make a lot of sparkling wines. And you don't get a bottle of champagne for 20 euros neither. So you do have accept a bit that price quality gets here an equal part, but that we do have to pay a bit. And it's still astonishing that we do make wines in a rather easy price category at the same time. Yes, a few partners is maybe not the good word, but there are a few wine producers that you do have to know from name. So I put some pictures on it at the same time, so you can see that small is not so small at the same time. So they represent Belgium in their different styles on the different soils, and they are the ones who gives us the opportunity to get an international recognition. Genoes Elderen, the Wayne Castle, is the biggest one, more than 20 hectares of vineyards. And she won, Joyce, she is the lady after the picture, she is a lady winemaker, got gold medals on international fairs already from 1999. And when we know that she started around 1990, so within 10 years of time, she won international medals. That's a little bit of proof that when we want to do it on a commercial basis, we start good, we start professionally. A bit the same story with Rufus, which has a little of 20 hectares, who only makes sparkling wines and who discovered this soil close to where he lives. He discovered the soil, he took, let's say, some samples of the soil, and he has very good connections in the Champagne area in France. So that man had connections, went to someone to be advised, and they say, my God, that's marvelous. You have the climate, you have the soil, you have the stones. So what are you waiting for? Let's do it together. So he started immediately on a professional basis, making sparkling wines of high quality, a lot of Chardonnay, and won gold medals in a very, let us say, in a very beginning time. Then we come little by little to Jeannette Bonbaron, also one of our biggest winemakers, and which makes it very exceptional. That is the different parts of soil, of ground that she has in her vineyards, but she will tell you that herself, no problem. And a speciality of Bonbaron is the making of red wines with very original and authentic grapes, and with a strength in it which can be placed next to a lot of other professional made wines. Entre-deux-Monts is close to my house, which makes it, again, very pleasant when we go visit family, when we go visit friends, we take a car, and nowadays we can say, when you look to the right, you see vineyards. When you look to the left, we see vineyards again. So it's still something difficult for me to give it a place, as we are so used seeing vineyards all over the world, and that we are not used to it, to see it so close by. That's also a very important one to make. Sparkling wines, Aldenake, Maaseik, so he has vineyards close to the river, you can see it on the picture. He has the typical more mild climate zone due to the regulations of the river of the water. And he makes part with his wines of that qualification area who can go over the border to the Netherlands. They spoke to each other in that place, and they make wines all out of certain type of wine bottles, which is for the consumer very good that you can recognize it. And then we have Domaine Chenois, Domaine du Champ-Biol, Monteberg, Meerdal. Those are a bit the names that you see more and more on an international level. And of course, Champ-Biol, the winemaker of sparkling wines with the best wine of the world. Can be proud of, yes? What does the future can give us from guarantees? Never. You can never get guarantees for whatever you do or whatever we want to do, but we do have, of course, the benefits of the global warming, not Belgium only, all cool climate zones, of course, also Austria, Germany, and some others. We do have in our favor a raising market demand for quality homegrown products more and more. And let's say that a bit due to COVID, we began to look in the area close around, and we started to live a bit in our own cocoon more and more, which gave favor to the demand to our own products. Quality continues to rise. We get more and more older vineyards, more and more experience, more and more schools, more and more professional people who take in hand the vineyards and who help each other. That's also an important part. They really help each other. Rising demand for courses in viticulture proves again that evening schools have a lot of demand of young generation who want to start in it, who want to have a job outside, and let's say a bit in the agriculture division, which has also always been an important part of Belgium. We have better distribution channels. You had to go to the vineyards yourself. You had to go to the winemaker to obtain some bottles. Now we all have a website. We all can buy very easily via website. And more cavists or wine shops sell the Belgian wines with pleasure because people ask for them more and more. Riskiness, yes, of course, it's always risky. You never know what comes to you. Global competition is very important. Global competition will remain, and we still are so small into that very big world of wines and existing possibilities. We have no image abroad, that's true. We do not have, for example, one grape, as Spain has Tempranillo, Toscana has Sangiovese, a special bottle, a label, whatever. We don't have really an image typical to Belgium. We do have more and more now possibilities because of international fairs, etc. But we are working on that. It still remains very, very difficult. External capital is difficult to obtain. That's true. Let's say that most but most of the winemakers in Belgium who started very small as a hobby out of passion, who got bigger and bigger, practically all of them started with their own money. They didn't start and get to a bank and they buy ground. No, they had some ground and they wanted to see what it gives. But now that we get more on a professional level and that a younger generation wants to start for the first time on a professional basis, banks and getting capital is not an easy part here. We don't have enough experience and confidentiality in it. So that's something which doesn't make it easy for a startup plan. A small country makes, of course, also a quick saturation of the products. And when, for example, we do not have a lot of reserve, when, for example, we get some catastrophes during harvest time or whatever, when we should have that often, I think that we won't have any increasing anymore, but that we will have a lot of fall down winemakers at that moment. But let's hope that it doesn't come so far. I got a lot of facts and figures from a very recent book, so I promised the author, Peter Doomen, that I would mention him. Of course, it's the Netherlands for the moment, but he's working on another language. So it's the one who gives you always facts and figures all the time. So every month he follows everything and he makes an update because it's very difficult to find, let us say, correct information when you grow so fast. When from the moment you think, that's the number of winemakers, that's the number of hectares. No, after 6 months, it's a different picture. So that's a bit the basis line of Belgium, the quality wines, the sparkling wines, the white wines, etc. And I am very pleased to announce you Jeannette, which is a winemaker with her husband of Bonbaron. I met her once and then I met her several times because she takes part of the Chaîne as a sponsor also, and with an open heart, she will always respond to everyone. When you need advice on her wines or in general, she's always there for you. She's a backup and she's an example for Belgian wine growing viticulture. I will try now, Jeannette, to share the screen, or is it not in my hands now?
No, first of all, thank you so much, Dominique. That was so interesting and really, really new things for a lot of even professional wine people that follow the wine business and follow the wine career. It was amazing. Unfortunately, I will ask Mohammed as the host. Can you please make Jeannette the host so she can share her presentation? If not, I will share her presentation also. Yes, Jeannette, you are the host now, so thank you very much, Mohammed. And can we hear you, Jeannette, also?
Yes, I think you can hear me.
Perfect. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So. Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Ready to go. So I would like to thank, first of all, the board of the OMGD to provide the platform for the wines of Belgium today. I'm very happy. And I'm especially grateful to Ilse Duponchel, Bailliage Délégué, and Dominique Crombé, Sommelier from Belgium. Both these admirable women are an example to many. They have an inexhaustible energy and they are committed to gastronomy and sommelier in all its facets. In doing so, they support not only local producers like myself, but also supports and guides students. They are the real creators of synergies. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share with the audience. Wait a moment, because I have this on the wrong side. Yeah. So my name is Janet van der Steen, and they call me over here La Bonne Baronne. I'm the winemaker of Chateau Bon Baron. About 20 years ago, we came to Belgium not to make wine, but we had, my husband and myself, we had a company of interim management and consultancy. And when you are working together, then you wake up with your company, you dine with your company, and sometimes the company is sleeping in between the two of you. So we needed really some space to relax ourselves. So, and we came here to Belgium, where we find a nice house. But on the other side of the road, there was a hectare which was in wilderness. And as I have an education for my hobby on the Academy of Gastronomy, I said, I would like to make a guest house in the future and maybe cook one time in the week together with my guests. And I would love to serve my own wine. So 20 years ago, I planted just half a hectare, and we grew now after 20 years in 17 hectares. But I have to tell you that we are now a husband and wife partnership. So we did quit the Netherlands, and we are fully swimming in the wine. And my husband, he doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but it is a really a labor of love. And we both are involved in every step from the grape to the glass. And our land here in Belgium, in the beautiful area of Wallonia, it is really remarkable for viticulture. Good exposition, we have a good slope, and we have beautiful sites. I give you some facts and figures. I am a woman wine creator who is wondering about the wonders of winemaking. And I did find out that winemaking itself is not so very difficult. Everybody can learn the basic principles. But what is the most difficult is to put on yourself the discipline and the knowledge. And when we started about 20 years ago, I did, in Belgium, I did not find an educational school. So I went to Germany. At that time, I didn't speak any French. I went to Germany, and I learned from the winemakers over there how to work, how to cut the vines, how to prune the vines, how to make the wine, etc. So we founded in 2000 with just half a hectare, and we grew into 10 years to 17 hectares. We have a cultivation of 14 different varieties. And as Dominique already told you, that I have a plantation of 70% red varieties and 30% white varieties. I have a real passion for winemaking. So I started producing white wine and red wine, but in the meantime, I make also and more because rosé is becoming more and more popular. So I make in the meantime also rosés. And I really wanted to know, because I knew already Rufus and I knew very well Genuelselderen. I'm friends with them, and they were making marvelous sparkling wines, and I really wanted to know how to make sparkling wines. So I started also making sparkling wines myself. We have a philosophy, and that is, I can tell you in 3 words, that is quality, quality, and quality. And that's why I call our philosophy is quality never goes out of style. And the quest of is, for me, it's a sustainability in the vineyard, but also in the wine cellar. The beauty of wine is very diverse. I like very much the beauty of nature in the vineyard, so that's one part. But it's also very fantastic to learn the technical skills in the cellar. You outside in the vineyard, you have the openness of the air. You can really meditate for yourself. But in winemaking, it's transforming a primary product in a secondary product, which is wine, and that is fantastic because you have to take care that in the vineyard your grapes come out ripe and healthy. But as soon as they are in the cellar, you can just guide. You are just a guidance. You are not the winemaker. It is the yeast who is making the wine. You are just guiding the wines. But above all, my husband and myself, we really adore contact with people. We like to share, explain, and tell about our passion. And that's why we take part in several education programs in hotel schools all over Belgium and also in the Netherlands. We speak about the diversity of the terroir and our amazing climate. We like to put our fantastic area on the map. That's also very important. We attract a lot of tourists. We have really tourists who come for our wines to Belgium, and they come from India, they come from Indonesia, they come from Japan, they come from China, from the States. And that is also, so for me, wine, it is binding, it is multicultural. And above all, since making wine, I was never, not a minute, I was bored. We find it so exciting to share our passion for that. For so many people, it sounds that it is like a new adventure with two parts very recently, but I'm working on it already about 20 years. Oops, I will show you the next. Yeah, oops, that's going too fast. Yeah, here. Yeah, all the wines of Chateau Bombaron are award-winning wines. Many wines find their way to national and international gastronomy, as well to Belgian ambassadors all over the world. And since 10 years now, we are also providing wines to Brussels Airlines and to Air Belgium, that is the new flight company. And the awards, all the awards are too many to mention, but the awards which I'm particularly very proud of, it is that we won with our Chardonnay here, several gold medals in the contest Chardonnay du Monde, which is organized in Burgundy. And it's only Chardonnays which can participate. So that's quite special. And also Muscat du Monde, it is organized in Frontignan in France as well. And it's only Muscats who can take place. So that is pride of me. The wines of Chateau Bombaron are served in the best gastronomic restaurants. And as you can see, I will speak later about the Accolon, but I have some very special grapes. And as Dominique, she's a very, very famous sommelier here in Belgium, and she didn't know some of the grape varieties which I planted. Amongst them is Accolon, but also Cabernet d'Orsat, Gamaret and Gara Noir, which are two Swiss grape varieties. I did, before I planted my larger vineyards, before I did very much the extension, I was studying some figures, what is Belgium drinking? And apart from the sparkling wine, because in the first, I didn't know how to make sparkling wine, I did find out that Belgium was drinking about 70% red wines and 30% white and rosé wines. And I said, okay, I want to plant 70% red varieties and 30% white varieties. And I was looking for varieties which were suitable for our cool climate. And I ended up really only with Pinot Noir. And I said, I'm fond of Pinot Noir, but I don't want to plant for my all my hectares 70% of Pinot Noir. And I was looking and looking, and I ended up with one of the nursery schools, and they said there are some new red varieties, which are early ripening varieties, and they would go very, very well in Belgium. And I said, yeah, I can trust you, but I never tasted these wines. So the the owner of the nursery school, he took me to several winemakers where I had the chance to taste the Acolon and to taste Cabernet d'Orsa. And I was really, they astonished me very much. So about the Acolon, if you speak in Belgium, Acolon, people say Chateau Bombaron. If they speak Chateau Bombaron, they say Acolon. Acolon is a crossing of Blaufränkisch and Dornfelder. It is created in Weinsberg in the early 60s, and it's an early ripening grape variety. I think that with the climate change, the Acolon has really found its terroir in Belgium. And already in 2000, with my millésime 2005, I won a gold medal in the Concours Mondial, which was organized that time in Valencia. It has an average percentage of alcohol between 12 and 13%. So that's in general with all Belgian wines, you don't have the high alcohols of 14, 15%. You stay always very moderate. So it gives you the chance to drink maybe half a glass or 1 glass more. The Acolon I make without residual sugar, and I do pigeage and remontage during the fermentation. Pigeage, that means that in past time they did it with the feet, and remontage is that you pick up the juice and you spray the juice on top of the skin. That is to get the best extraction out of the skin, because the most taste, aromas, and color, they really come from the skin. And after that, I have a 24 months aging in new French barrels with also a malolactic fermentation. Acolon is a deep, dark, red, ruby-colored wine with a hint of violet. Like the color is like aubergine, you know, and it has ripened 2 years in the barrels of French barrels. It has, if you look in the glass, it has long, thin, sexy legs, they call it in English. And it's a very concentrated aroma with a clean nose, red roses. I'm so sorry that you don't have the Acolon in your glass. And I'm very sorry also for the gentleman of France, because he ordered my wine and the wine did not arrive.
It will arrive.
On the palate, you find blackcurrant, strawberry, touches of prune, vanilla, cinnamon, eucalypt, and leather. And in gastronomically, you can serve with gourmet meals of game, strong cheeses, and fondue. So I will not speak about all my different wines. That's something maybe for later, but I'm very proud of this Acolon, and Dominique especially asked me to explain something more about this. But then we came March 2020, COVID-19 last year. What did we do to survive the COVID-19 catastrophe? Because we are supplying mainly to the gastronomy, to hotels, HoReCa, to events. We organize here at the premises tour and tastings. So we invite people to have a tour and a tasting of wines. And all the orders were stopped or were canceled. There were no wines for gastronomy, no hotels. We had really sleepless nights. And then I had, I think, a very, very good idea. In 2018, when Belgium, the winemakers of Belgium were hosted by Megavino. There was the land of honor to be invited. We had to look for some sponsors. And we did find a very big sponsor in Deleuze, but Deleuze is not gastronomy. Deleuze is a big distribution channel. And I called them and I said, listen, we are in COVID now. So people, they cannot go to the hotels and restaurants to drink their wine. All my tanks, they are full. Harvest is coming up September, October. So I have to do some bottling. And when I'm going to bottle now for the gastronomy, I don't think that we will sell a lot to the gastronomy. And we have some fidel clients who are buying well, but that cannot cover the loss we have. So maybe I do not want to sell the same wine to the big distribution as what I said to the gastronomy, but maybe I can make a blend, one white, one red, and one rosé. And this is what they accepted for me. And that's really, really saved our life last year. I would like to show you some small video. And I don't know why it's not working. Oops. I have no idea why it's not working, because it was working. So I have to continue. Maybe I can find the video later for you. I would like to tell you something about, wait, maybe I can try, because I would like you to.
Otherwise, Jeanette, you share it from YouTube or whatever.
We can share it later on, and I can share it also. So if we want to proceed.
Yeah, I can continue with because I don't know, normally it should work from here, but it doesn't. So for me, important is also a sustainable vineyard, and a regenerative vineyard is a self-restoring vineyard. But a sustainable vineyard you cannot obtain through one big operation. You need very many small actions that make a big difference. For instance, submerging rootstocks in mycorrhiza, preventing soil erosion, reducing pesticides. We can use natural binding material in the vineyard instead of metal or plastics. All the compost heap, which is what is coming from the wine cellar, goes back to the vineyard. And what is very important is to perform the work at the right time. It's the reduction of the risks of diseases. You need more actions, respect for and maintaining biodiversity, and keeping a very large diversity of multicultures. We have, for instance, we have a biodiverse vegetation. We have several biodiverse grape varieties, 14, as I told you already. We have trees around the vineyard, the presence of the river. We have animals roaming the land. We have an abundance of birds and insects. And in short, we have an enormous diversity of multicultures. We are dipping, before plantation, we are dipping the vine roots in arbuscular mycorrhiza. And that means that below ground, the vine roots can form with the soil fungi a symbiotic association. This arbuscular mycorrhiza has mutual benefits. This fine fungal hyphae greatly increase the volume of soil explored, giving so a better access to the soil nutrients and water. Increase of grapevine growth and nutrition. We have better access to soil nutrients, activation and regulation of plant transport of proteins, and increase the tolerance to abiotic stresses, which is very important since the climate change. There is much more water stress, for instance, or soil salinity, or iron chlorosis, heavy metal toxicity. And if you have this mycorrhiza, they can handle it much better. You have also a protection against biotic stresses, such as root disease. Also very important, and Dominique told you already, that is preventing the soil erosion. We have a biodiverse vegetation. We did soon 24 plants and herbs for biodiversity. We do not use herbicides. We do not use insecticides. And we keep the soil life intact by and continue to promoting it by reducing passages. That is, for instance, at Chateau Bon-Baron, we work with two-sided machines for pre-pruning or for cleaning the vines or for defoliation. We do to expose the grapes really to the sun, the elements, the lights, water, the cold, the wind. We take away all the leaves around the grapes, and the vines, they react by creating thicker skins. And as I told you already, most part of the taste, aroma, and the color comes from the skin. So we have a quality advantage. And furthermore, insects have a lesser chance to attack the vines. And what we also do, it is that we work, when we work in the vineyard, we work and we harvest only one row on two. So every second row rests for a whole year long. We use, as I told you, biodegradable clips. We do not use clips from plastic or metal, and we collect them every year. And if we lose them or they are not usable anymore, they deteriorate very easy in the vineyard. All the vineyard waste goes back to the source. Compost heap from wine cellar waste go back to the vineyard. Pressed stems, skins, pips, yeast, everything. In fact, we give good food back to the vineyard, which we took from her before. And I was just talking about sustainability in the vineyard, but there is also a sustainability in the winery. And part of it is cleaning. You can clean all your tanks and your barrels and your bottling machines with chemicals, but we do not use chemicals at all. We do deep barrel cleaning, we do tank cleaning with steam, and that's a reduce of waste of precious water. Our winemaking process is completely free of synthetic chemicals and non-organic input. Before I started producing wine, I never gave much thought to what was actually in a bottle of wine. And I had a little bit the romantic idea that it was all produced from grapes and aged in barrels. And that was about it. My quest, after the wonders of wine making, which started 20 years ago, quickly taught me that everywhere in the world, so much more goes in a bottle of wine. Some for the good, some for it not so good, and some of it downright gross. And I'll bet that, like me, you've not spent much time thinking about additives in the wine either. Well, I'm in the position to make my wines in such a way that the additives can be avoided. Hopefully for the good taste, but that's for you to discover. But you need a lot of courage to let the wine takes its time. You need barrel aging until the wine is ready. And you see the two red dots. You see there are two bottles upside down in the barrels. And this is an invention of myself. You know that there is, the barrels, they need to be topped up because there is, they call it in French, houillage, because there is some evaporation. And I put the same wine in the bottles and I put it upside down. And then I can see the level of the wine if it is reducing when I have to fill it up again. Also important is that the bottles which I use, they are really produced in Belgium. So I can collect my bottles, or I can have the delivery of my bottles from only 60 kilometers from here. I don't import empty bottles in a big lorry coming from Italy or from far from the south of France. I use stoppers of quality cork to seal my wine bottles. But recently I started also a closure based on cane sugar. And this is again very special because This production of the closures based on cane sugar, the production takes place in Belgium. Both stoppers, the real cork and the closure based on cane sugar, are 100% recyclable, and they have a negative carbon dioxide footprint. Sustainability in the winery from Chateau Bonbaron is also work with, train and pay your people well, and raising public awareness like I do now with you. So I would like to thank the audience, and I'm really, really grateful that being a member of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs Belgium, I can and I may contribute my part in sharing the values of excellence and brotherhood that unites us in the perpetuation of great traditions of good and fine wines. Good food and fine wines, sorry. Together with Ilse Duponchel and Dominique Crombé, we made 2 different wine boxes, especially for the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, which you see here at the picture. It can be ordered through my web shop, www.bonbaronshop.com. And for the audience, of all the treasures that the earth can boost, a nice glass of wine with friends I prize at most. All of you are always welcome as a friend at Chateau Bonbaron. I hope you keep safe and healthy. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Janet. This was an amazing presentation, and I'm sure we all want to come and visit you very shortly. I hope when we can fly and visit each other again. Before we go to questions and answers, I just first of all want to ask you if you can make me a host again, and if you can stop sharing, so yes. we can see each other. But also, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank everybody to join us, but also to tell you that this webinar, this Zoom meeting is recorded, and we have a special YouTube channel. You can easily find it. It's OMGD Global, not OMGD, OMGD Global, and you can find it on YouTube. We put there all the sorry for the noise. We put all the previous webinars that we had. You can also visit us on the Instagram on OMGD Global. You can visit us also on Facebook on OMGD Global, and then you'll find not only the webinars and the recording themselves, but also the presentation. So if someone wants to learn more about Belgian wine, they can go and download the presentation and learn all about it. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that we still have people that want to ask questions. So what I will do, instead of going to the chat, if someone wants to ask questions, just unmute yourself, and you can easily ask Dominique or Janet about the presentation today.
Tal, may I just use the opportunity that I am on now?
Oh, welcome, Mohammed.
Thank you, thank you. I apologize for not being there all the time because I have a severe problem with my internet here. Although I'm using it 24 hours, but suddenly it didn't work today. I would like also to thank Dominique and Janet for their fantastic presentation. I managed to see some of it, but I will see it all on the YouTube. It was amazing what I've had so far. I would like to thank Ilse for giving us the opportunity to introduce the Belgian wine. And apparently this will not be the last thing we do together, Ilse. I think we will definitely think of Belgium as a spot to visit in the future with the Order Mondial members. I wanted to take the opportunity here while we are all online. We have a gentleman with us here. His name is Peter Musa. I don't know if everybody can see his picture. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Musa is actually considered as the father of Order Mondial. Peter Musa, who taught me everything about Order Mondial, and was actually happy to see that I'm continuing following his path. Peter, it's a great pleasure to have you online with us. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity in the very beginning. Already I served in your committee from 2009 onwards. And now I'm carrying on the flag, and I hope that everything is working according to your expectations. So Peter, if you want to add something, please feel free.
Dear Mohamed, dear Joel, I just want to thank you for your initiative and the improvement of the OMGD. You do a great job, and I'm very proud. Thank you so much. A big thank you also to Dominique and Janet for their presentation.
Thank you so much, Peter. And please thank also Martha on our behalf. Martha, where are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
You are there. Okay. She is the wine lady. She is the expert on wine, actually. Okay, Peter and Martha, thank you so much for attending or participating in all our events, and we hope to see you in the next one as well. So Tal, I would leave it to you, and please, you close the session. Thank you so much, everybody, and look forward to see you in our next event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, you know what? I'll ask the first question, if I may, to Janet. In many parts of the world, you saw some countries that had the pandemic do very well to them. Many countries that young people that cannot go to pubs or to bars or to clubs, they stay home. So instead, and it's very boring to drink vodka or whiskey by themselves, they want to have something social, so they started drinking wine. In other countries like China and some maybe Japan, you see the decline of drinking wine because of maybe the overall atmosphere and maybe a bit of gloominess in the air. How do you experience the wine scene in this pandemic time in Belgium?
Well, I can speak for myself. That I have in the 2020 I had even a better year than the years before. I think that a big part is the fact that through the sales of my wines in the ground distribution, I have a larger visibility, and people started contacting me. I also created a web shop where people can buy the wine. And I work very close together with Ilse and Dominique, who did also create a visibility for Chateau Bombaron. And I think that, yes, people are more and more drinking wine. And what I heard of my colleague winemakers is that people are buying more better wines, more exclusive wines. They don't drink, they drink lesser, how do you call it, bulk wines or
entry level.
Wine.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know the right expression. That's what I learned from my colleagues, that they say, oh, the people, they have lesser difficulty to buy Belgian wine, which is relative expensive. But I also think that has to do with the fact that I remember when I started 20 years ago, my wines, after a couple of years, were already very good. And when I was on a wine fair and I asked somebody, would you like to taste the Belgian wine? Without drinking, the people said, oh no, it's not possible. So I had to fight very, very hard to convince the people that the wines were drinkable. And now some people ask me, are you not afraid that you get too much competition of your fellow Belgian winemakers? I don't think so. If they make good wine, we can carry up the quality and the image of Belgian wines.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else wants to? I have plenty of questions, so if anyone else wants to ask any question, this is the time. Otherwise, it's a conversation between me and Janet and Dominique.
Tal, if I'm allowed to ask, I have actually, like you, many questions, but first, I would like to thank both Dominique and Jeanette for a wonderful presentation. Even though I am born in the Netherlands and lived there until 20 years ago, I don't think I've ever tasted Belgian wines. And I didn't know Belgium had good wines. So now I moved to Turkey about 25 years ago, living here. That actually brings the first question to Jeanette, because we will not be able to order the package you prepared. And since we have many members from Turkey now, even we were 7-8 people, not counting Mohammed, who's a member in Turkey still. So we had 7-8 people, and I see now Ibrahim, Özlem, Ömer. I see several of our members who are online. Would it be a possibility to, do you have a distributor in Turkey, or could something be arranged through the Belgium embassy or consulate in Istanbul, that we can order the package and try your wines? I'm especially curious about the Acolon. So that is a question I have to Jeanette. The second question, which is a quicker one to Dominique, is, you said that the best sparkling wine in the world was the Chateau d'Eole. When that was organized, that competition, did that include champagne as well, or were only Méthode Champenoise wines in the competition?
No, it was an international competition, les Effervescents du Monde, sparkling wines of the world. So champagnes were included, and a lot of champagnes won also silver medals, gold medals. But no, it was really the big thing.
Wow, that's really then prestigious to win that. Congratulations.
Yes. And from that moment on, everyone wants to buy it, of course. Yes. So we checked the morning after. Yes, a phone to the Chaîne d'Eole. Hello, we are da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I'm sorry, madam. We got so many mails, so many phone calls, 1 bottle per demand.
Okay, yes. That brings us, buying the wines brings us back to the question I asked to Jeanette. So what can we do for Turkey, Jeanette?
I have never yet exported to Turkey, but I know people from the Belgian embassy in Turkey. So maybe we are able to, and the lady C is a very famous wine lover, and maybe we can organize something through them. I don't know. If you are welcome to send me a mail with your request, and then I can contact the Belgian embassy to see what we can do.
That would be wonderful. Thank you very much, Jeanette. I will do that through Ilse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you,
by the way,
you told me that you are from the Netherlands.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Yeah. I suppose that you know the Okura Hotel in Amsterdam.
Yes, of course. They have a 2-star Michelin star restaurant. Yes, of course I do.
Exactly, and they have 3 of my wines. They serve 3 of my wines in their restaurant.
Yes. Also the Acolon?
Acolon, the Chardonnay, the Pinot Gris, and Acolon, and even 4 of my wines. Sorry, and and the La Grande. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
By the way, that was Yves. Yves is the Bailliage delegate of Turkey. So the next one, you can, just say I am, so we know exactly who is speaking, because sometimes we cannot read the small letters on the screen. More questions. More questions.
I would like just to come back, because with Yves we made already a connection, which is great. That's what the Chaîne is all about. But Chantilly, I give it to Dominique. Chantilly is also the song of the wind, because Chantilly is also completely sustainable, Dominique. I think that's one thing. I will leave that to you. But also with Dominique, we have been working very hard, and we are still working hard on a Grand Chapitre from the 25th of March next year till the 28th. So most welcome. Jeanette will be there, and lots of Belgian beers and alcohols as well. But Dominique, Chantilly, maybe you can explain a little bit what's the vision behind it.
The vision behind it, well, it's true that they want to create their proper microclimate, to say it like that. So they have the soils, and they have place around the vineyards. Yeah, my God, how do you say that in English? The windmolens.
Well, they have the windmills. So
the windmills.
Chantilly means actually windmill. And all the energy they have is made by the windmills.
Yeah.
The song of the windmills.
The song of the windmills, yes. So they try to create a proper microclimate. There were windmills already. So they pushed to have extras of them. And they have the sound, they have the wind. They create the air from warm to colder, etc. So they have a sort of... very authentic microclimate within that area of the Belgian appellation status.
Besides that, Tal and Mohammed, I thank you very much to give this opportunity, to give Belgian gastronomy. I'm the Bailliage delegate of Belgium, very recent. This opportunity to Belgian wines, to Belgian gastronomy, and to give us this platform. For us, it's really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ilse. If anyone else wants to ask any questions, if not, you can always send your question or write them on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, or even in our YouTube channel. And we are following that all the time, and we'll make sure to forward these questions or to Dominique or to Janet to give you all the answers. We're almost 2 hours on air now since we started. Anyone else would like to ask any question?
I'll just comment on Yves regarding having the wines in Turkey. One of our colleagues, who is the Bailliage of Ankara, actually, and member of the national board in Turkey, he is a wine distributor. And I think, Yves, you should make the connection between Jeanette and Ethem.
Mohammed, it's unfortunate because Ethem was one of the participants. We were 7, 8.
I saw that he left.
He was one of the participants here, and if he would have stayed until the end, then he could have made that connection himself. But I will discuss this with him. I will put him in CC of the mail I'll send. No, I will not, because it will be in Dutch, but I will make the connection anyway. Yes.
Okay, good. That's what the chain is all about, and Order Mondial is all about too.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Any more questions? So
maybe because I didn't have the chance to show the little film,
video.
Maybe you can send the link for the little film to all the participants from today. So I will not take any more of your time today, but it would be nice that everybody can see it
We can put it on. We can put the link on YouTube, so everybody can, you know, not only these people, this group, everybody can see it.
Minutes in any way.
I've put it in the chat in the meantime.
Okay, thank you.
Easy, the master of communication.
We are a proactive team in Belgium.
Of course, of course.
What do you want?
I have a question, please.
Yes, please.
Jad from Beirut. Actually, I want to thank you all for this wonderful event. This is my first event actually in the OMGD since I was I joined the club 2 years ago during our chapitre in Lebanon before the revolution. After that, I went to Belgium a little bit and I spoke with the Bailliage, and we were supposed to see each other, but then Corona came. And Mohammed, I would like to thank you, Mohammed, for this wonderful event.
You're welcome.
Actually, I have one question for the Baron. Are you doing also monocepage wines?
I'm doing mainly monocepage wines. I am a little bit crazy. I have 14 different varieties, and I make of all the single variety, I make single cepage wines, so monocepage wines, and I do also assemblage. So I really like to experiment what is possible with all the grape varieties I have.
And knowing that you're using a lot of unusual varietals, let's say, they're not the common ones that we usually encounter. How is the market and the people and the consumers responding to this new varietals?
I have to say that a lot of people, and especially the people in the wine business, in the wine scene, or because in Belgium you have a lot of wine clubs. You have the Sommelier Conseil, you have a lot of commanderie of wine, and they know already, pardon, they know already Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Cabernet, Mourvèdre, and these are varieties they never heard of, so they are very, very curious. And that this is the varieties why the people they come to my house to taste it. So in general, and then when they taste, they are especially curious for the new varieties. And then when they taste the Pinot Noir, for instance, they are really flabbergasted that we can make a Pinot Noir, which is if they taste the Pinot Noir blind-eyed, they really think that they are in Burgundy.
A great job, and I would like also to appreciate your work on sustainability.
Yeah.
This is something also I study and I work on, and it's a big challenge, but kudos to you, and I wish you the best and the success. Thank you.
If you have some advices for me, I'm open. I'm open. For me, it's a quest. For it is not, you cannot do it in a very short time. You have to do it step by step. So if you have any advices, I am very open to receive them.
Yeah, actually, I don't have an advice, but in sustainability, what you have to do, you have to have a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
And it will pay at the end, because if you're building a brand and if you're building a good goodwill for the company, it will pay. In the beginning, it's big. On the long run, sustainable companies will be very appreciated. And I think building it block by block is very important. And I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I'm sharing the knowledge, what I get and what I study. I share it also with my colleague winemakers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jad. Thank you for that.
Jad, before you go, Jad, are you a member still?
Yes, of course.
Good. Are you in Belgium as a Chaîne member? You are a Belgian Chaîne member or in Lebanon?
I'm in Lebanon. In Lebanon, I'm still in Lebanon.
You are still in Lebanon, you know. So okay, so you are with Arlet.
With Arlet.
Okay.
But I'm moving between Germany and Dubai. We have some difficulties in Lebanon, so we might relocate to Germany or to Dubai. We don't know yet. We're waiting a little bit to see what will happen.
All right, that's great.
And
Good luck.
Jad, if you had a connection with Bailliage Délégué in Belgium, I'm not aware of it, but if you want to make a connection, with pleasure.
It was with you, I think, but I talked to you when I came to Belgium, but I couldn't see you last year.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
It was you.
Okay, okay. We didn't have to finish that. Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Okay.
So, I just want to also invite everybody, sorry, jumping in, advertising. We do this meeting every month, once a month. We do it at the end of each month on Sunday. So we have another beautiful webinar Zoom meeting for you on the 27th of June. So please put on your calendars and your diaries on the 27th of June. We're going to have a beautiful look on British wines. And yes, British wines, sparkling wines, they're doing very well. And it's going to be interesting. As you can see, we try to focus on something that is not well known or not in the normal focus. So of course we're going to have a webinar French or Spanish or an Italian wine, but we'd like to make, as an OMGD, to make something special for our members. So and next month on the 27th, we're going to do a British wine webinar, and I'm welcome all to join us again and to tell all your friends so they can rejoin us and be with us. I know sometimes the communication is not easy, and sometimes the link is not perfect, and sometimes it's a bit late until you have the link. Be sure, if you go on the social media of the OMGD Global, connect with us. We'll bring you all the information as soon as possible, so we don't have to wait. You can talk to us immediately and directly. And Mohammed or Hal Small is a part of our committee, is very important in our committee, and of course myself will answer as soon as possible. Any more questions before we say good night?
I just want to thank Tal and Mohammed for the presentations they're organizing every month. It is very much appreciated. I think that all the people who joined tonight really did like this, specifically this interactive, not so much a webinar, but an interactive Zoom meeting we have, so that everybody could see each other and comment. So thank you very much, Mohammed and Tal, for organizing this. And I will certainly be there on the 27th. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yves, and also for bringing more and more Turkish members to join the events.
No, I have to say, my Saint Tal and Mohammed and Tal, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I thank you also very much for the opportunity for Belgium. And I must say that I'm fortunate to have great committee members as Dominique and Jeanette joining us. And I think it's great to interact with all of you, because I think we missed that a lot through COVID. And it's great to see everybody back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So in that,
Cheers for everybody.
I want to thank everybody to take the time to join us. Vive la chaîne, vive l'ordre mondial. And we see you hopefully soon, next month in our webinar. And really, with God praise, inshallah, we'll see everybody together in person, so we can travel again, hug again, drink and eat together as a confrérie, as members of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs. So thank you very much, and vive la chaîne, vive l'ordre mondial.
Vive la chaîne.
Vive la chaîne.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Vive la chaîne.
Good evening, everyone.